Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of our podcast. Today we're joined by local high school volleyball superstar Noah Huang. We're super thankful to have him on. Noah, if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into volleyball, that'd be great.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the podcast. Great to be here. So I've been playing volleyball since sixth grade, so this is going into my seventh year right now. I've been playing at the same club for the same 7 years and playing with the same two other guys that I have at our high school. We've been playing together both in high school, both in club, and it's been a fun journey from the bottom to the top.
Beautiful. Can you talk about high school volleyball, how it's been going so far for you?
Yeah, so I have been on varsity for the past 2 years. I've been a starting middle. Last year we did really well. We were seeded fourth in a CIF, just CIF Southern section, and we made it to the semifinals there. And then after that, we qualified for states, and at states we went to the semifinals again. Got third place there. I was lucky enough to receive a ALL-CIF Division 1 award, and that's been high school. It's been really fun these past this past 2 years. The environment's been great with all the fans. I think it's really grown. Boys volleyball has really grown in the past couple of years.
Yeah, and then take us through senior year, right? Last year, high expectations, high goals, and then what's the future for Noah Huang and volleyball looking like?
Yeah, so senior year, going into our last year of varsity, and had four of our guys are the starting four that have been there since sophomore year, and we basically want to make a deep run in CF again, maybe win a championship. For me personally, right now I'm at a stage where I'm looking at colleges, talking with a couple colleges about playing in college, MIT and UCSD name the two, and I'm basically looking to play on each of the rosters. MIT is the Division 3 school, UCSD is Division 1 school. The recruiting process is very different for the two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you could take us through how that recruitment process has been for you so far, and some personal experiences that you've had.
Sure. So the recruitment process has definitely been a little bit different for me than other people. You basically get recruited through your club team. These big teams called Balboa Bay and 9 that basically get all the attention because of the connections they have through the volleyball world. So it's been a lot more difficult for me at a smaller boys club to get recruited. Basically, I've had to reach out to however many colleges I reached out to 15 different colleges, sending emails blindly just to their coaches, and at showcases they can watch my team, watch everyone play. I've gotten denied by quite a few of them. Just it's the nature of recruiting. If you're not proactive in this process, you're really not going to get recruited unless you have someone holding your hand through the entire process. If you're not a top 10, top 20 recruit, you have to actually go and pursue these coaches and ask them to come watch you, to come to your practices, come to your games, and really it's been difficult. It's a lot of calling coaches and putting together film and highlights. So it's been quite a journey.
So take us through, like you said, or actually, I feel like it's a misconception that recruiting for colleges is, where these big coaches, big schools come out with clipboards, scout high school games, club games, stuff like that, and then keep, following out, kind of like how you see with major, Power 5 football recruitment or top D1 basketball recruitment. So how does volleyball differ from that?
Yeah, so I know football uses Twitter a lot to basically reach out between players and coaches. I have a friend that uses Twitter. He's talking with some coaches. for volleyball, you don't get these rankings, like these 5-star, 4-star rankings that you do in football, and that draws national attention. Volleyball, especially boys, there's not that many schools. There's around like 25 known Division I schools that you like actually know the name of the school. Whereas girls, like take girls volleyball, for example, pretty much every college has a volleyball team. So it's a lot more difficult to find the right college for you and one that has volleyball included. So that's really how it differs from most other sports. It's just the amount of colleges is so limited that you actually have to go reach out and tell them who you are and why you want to play there. Also, it differs from football that all these big colleges come to watch these big high school games, right?
Yeah.
In high school games, none of the college coaches come out to watch. All the college coaches are only at these club tournaments because the talent of people are so spread out between each high school that they want to go and watch at these club tournaments where all the best of the best are playing.
And then you said so you have to be proactive in this whole process. So that's something I kind of want to focus on right now. Obviously, like I think you'd agree that like recently there's been a growth of like just like college recruitment and the emphasis of sports in America. You know, as we get into a more like modern, progressive, do what you want kind of age, and this growing trend of just athletic opportunities and recruitment itself. So when you said being proactive, take us through how that works. Like do you need to like keep like sending them emails? Do you know like keep need to like put together highlights like with reels, or is there like platforms that do it for you? Take us through like kind of the nitty-gritties of that.
Yeah, so basically I've handled pretty much all of my recruiting by myself. I've had to go through film, put together highlights that these coaches want, and I schedule phone calls to talk about recruiting, about college, about what they want to see in a player. I have to reach out in the beginning to have them come watch me for the games. They don't just go and watch you. Like they don't just wander around. They have a select amount of time to go walk around and scout these certain players that they have on their list. And the use of technology, especially through COVID, has really helped because you have to start really early going into, you can start talking to colleges the end of your sophomore year for volleyball. That's what I know. And basically, if you don't get your round of emails out between that sophomore summer and the start of the club season of sophomore year, it's really difficult to get recruited because so many people in that time frame get recruited, they get college attention, and then they commit, and all these spots start filling up. Unfortunately, I was on the back end of my junior year when I started to reach out to people, so it made it a lot more difficult for me to basically get recruited by these colleges that had these spots filled up already.
Got it. So would you say that COVID has made things easier because of more technology connections, or has it made it exposure?
It's definitely shifted it more towards technology. They have these streaming services called Baller TV and other streaming services where coaches can hop on to a stream and watch you play. That is another helpful thing when COVID happened. It also basically transitioned all your talking to online, where you, I guess, I haven't met a lot of the coaches that I've talked to on the phone. I've just basically talked to them on the phone about my volleyball. I've seen them in person. I've never actually talked to them because you're not allowed to talk to them in tournaments when you're playing. So the use of technology just makes the college coaches so much more accessible. I can just reach out and text whatever college coach that I have been talking to, give them updates and give them new highlights, give them new information about how the recruitment process is going for me. So that's how technology is really, I guess, grown due to that COVID period where it forced all of us to go online.
Yeah. And like you've also like mentioned that you played like high level volleyball for such a long time. Did you ever kind of find that to intervene or like interfere with like your school life? And like how did you manage to keep the balance between a lot of your focus towards volleyball and the recruitment process, but also like your school life at the same time?
So I've seen this like poster. It's pretty corny. It's just like Division 1 on the court and then Division 1 in the classroom. That's basically where I stand on academics. A lot of people that I know in the volleyball community, they all, most of them don't focus too much on academics. They're more on the beach playing volleyball, getting better at volleyball. But I wanted to, I guess from a young age, like I wanted to focus on academics throughout high school and basically go to good college. That's why my recruitment process has been so difficult. Finding that good college to go to and play volleyball is a little more difficult when the schools are so limited. So I've tried to maintain that. I've maintained, I guess, a pretty good GPA and pretty good test scores throughout high school. I have so, which is setting me up for a backup route if this whole thing doesn't work
Right.
out.
Yeah.
If I guess volleyball recruitment, nothing's guaranteed. So I always want to have that backup plan. And since professional volleyball is not prevalent at all in the States, it doesn't really it doesn't guarantee you any job, any salary. So you have to work at something else other
Yeah.
than volleyball.
Right. So, like you said, obviously, like volleyball isn't a major money getter like basketball, football, baseball. But recently, like another global trend has been the rise of these like less known sports, and the development of new ones like pickleball, and stuff like that. So, do you see a future for volleyball as a major sport? And how's your experience over the years shown any trend of growth, maybe, or like not there?
Yeah, there is a professional league now. They have that USA Volleyball has created in the United States. But the only problem with that is that a lot of good players come from the international stage. Um, places like Italy and all those places in Europe, they all have, Poland even, they all have these massive volleyball players that go to these specific leagues at 18 years old. Like 18 years old, they're already playing pro. I know someone who was 17, he's playing professionally. Like they start their volleyball professional career at such a young age that it's difficult for the US to catch up in how they basically have the collegiate level and then they have the professional level. But then at that point, people are 22 already and people want to start bodies breaking down a little more. And it's a little bit less, it's less money and all the funding of volleyball comes from European leagues. So people from Brazil is really good. They all start at a very young age playing professionally. And after they're done playing professionally, they will go to the United States for college and play collegiate volleyball there. There's a guy on UCLA who's like 26 as a freshman. So these guys are coming in really late in their careers and basically going through college.
So they're starting off young, making some money, then going to college, getting a degree, and then hitting the work life.
Yeah.
So do you think that is that a factor that's like separating us from these other countries? The fact that we have the collegiate and pro level, or do you think there's more like a cultural or like some kind of like institutional shift there that makes them so much better to have a better market and better players?
I think overall, since sports have such prevalent influence on the United States as a whole, a lot of funding gets put into, I guess, the United States volleyball, like United States basketball, like the Olympics teams, right?
Yeah.
But these players being started at such a young age are so much more developed at the prime stages of their career, while we're still developing in college during, I guess, when there's other factors that you have to worry about, like studying and all that stuff. So these players are basically focused on only volleyball and winning that collegiate or winning that Olympic medal. So it's a little bit difficult for us to get the best athletes, get the best players, because many of them go to play basketball or football, right? Because that's where the money is. It's really hard for a person to come to play volleyball because they need that salary overseas, and then they play on the USA team. So it's a little different recruitment.
Yeah. So that actually like brings us right to my next question for you. So on this podcast, we like to talk about global patterns, events, trends, and connect it to our local community. So as a member of SoCal, specifically like like in the urban area, like you said, the focus outside on different countries on volleyball is higher. So like kids can just focus on that, get better at that, worry about that, then make the money in the pro leagues. But here we live in such a well-off area where many of our parents are from a middle class, upper middle class, to even like a wealthier socioeconomic status. Do you think, and also the culture is more like laid back, less pressure to be something great, to get out of some bad environment. So do you think that maybe that sense of cushion, a sense of the lack of motivation or drive, do you see that affecting other like talent locally? And how have you been able to like mitigate that culture to stay on the course to maximizing your potential?
Yeah, definitely there's, I guess, less of a motivation factor for us as SoCal kids. I would say about 90% of the best players come from SoCal, for volleyball at least, in the United States. So that means these players are from these well-off neighborhoods like Newport Beach, Huntington Beach, Manhattan Beach, all along the coast of California where wealthy families live. That just means they have the luxury of playing volleyball, developing early, and it does make them have that cushion of, if volleyball doesn't work out, then there's always a back door, right? I guess global patterns, if you can get the athletes that from the United States, because the United States, like 1000% has the best athletes in the world.
Yeah.
If you can get those athletes to start playing volleyball, which is a very low income sport, then the overall USA men's team will be better. But since there's not as much money into the volleyball world, and it's not a big cultural thing throughout the entire country of the United States, it's a little more difficult for us to excel in volleyball. Whereas women's volleyball, there's not that much money in it for professional in the United States, but it's such a big cultural influence throughout the entire country that they have the best athletes. They have the best women athletes in volleyball to play on their team.
Yeah. So do you think maybe it's the other way around? Maybe we start, to change a culture shift or a paradigm shift in SoCal, where, like you said, some of these like families are really well off, where they don't need this like great income to like keep themselves going, so they can just focus on their passion of volleyball. So do you think maybe like we focus on SoCal and like kind of shift the attitude towards, hey, we can like play volleyball like throughout our like early adult years, make it like an actual professional sport, because now these pioneers don't need to worry about putting bread on the table. So do you think maybe like we need to focus more on having the guys in SoCal staying in the United States and build a better league, and how that look like?
That would be the case. That would require a lot of funding from outside people, outside sources, because all the money, I guess you would say, all the money in the United States that is going into men's volleyball is on the beach, like beach volleyball, right? Oh, you hear these stars like Carrie Walsh and Misty May. Those are the big giants of beach volleyball, right? That's where the United States has the luxury of making these monies because of beautiful beaches in SoCal.
Yeah.
But to get an indoor league going, it's a little more difficult because not it's not a, I guess, high intensity, high fun, like it's not as intense as, you know, say football and basketball, and how those sports are super like well, they're traditionally very well like played and very fun to watch, and that's what brings in the revenue, brings in the people.
Yeah.
Volleyball, it's a little repetitive, I guess you would say. It's repetitive in that points are scored, and it's side out volleyball. The points, there's not too much room for creativity as like a football game where you have all these, you have 13 guys or 11 guys on the field at once. It's that's the only issue with that.
Yeah.
So we end off with this question to all of our guests. Some cases it applies better, in some cases like this, it might not apply better. But if there's one like government action that you'd want to see that would help promote volleyball in SoCal, that would help us, you know, compete with, like I said, Italy, Poland, whatever. I don't know, maybe it could be like a law, subsidy, like what one thing would you want to see that you think would help grow volleyball and the future of volleyball like into your adult years in SoCal?
I think to grow volleyball, the price of young athletes playing has to become lower, because volleyball is a very expensive sport to play.
Really?
Because of the gym time and the amount that these clubs charge to play one of these and basically make your way up to the collegiate level. These clubs cost so much money to run because of the lack of volume that they have. So they charge a lot more. That's the only issue with volleyball being non-expansive to people who don't have the money to pay for a expensive club season. And volleyball, the funding of it is mainly comes from these large beach clubs like Balboa Bay and Beach Surf. They have so much money that they can set how much each club has to pay to play in these tournaments. So that was the only thing.
So you want to see more funding from?
Yeah, it's a difficult issue because a lot of, I guess, volleyball players, young volleyball players, have to come from these well-off families and have the resources to pay for the season. So that's the only yeah.
Well, thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Yeah, and we wish you like the best of luck in the rest of your recruitment process as well.
Thank you.
Yep. Have a good season.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.